Good evening. A group of women who've been campaigning for equal pay have won a landmark victory against Birmingham City Council. Now they can launch claims for thousands of pounds in compensation.
The women brought the claims because they were paid less than men on the same grade. In some cases, the men were paid twice as much. Today's ruling could pave the way for thousands of other claims from women across the country, amounting to millions of pounds. Joanne Riddle reports.
Pam Saunders helped care for older people in their homes in Birmingham for 30 years. Today's ruling means she can now pursue a compensation claim.
I think it's absolutely disgusting that it's taken us all this time to get what's owing to us. And it is, because at the end of the day, we work for those people. They owe us this money. It's not as if they're giving us a gift. And if we owed it them, I'm damn sure they'd come and take it off us.
Pam heard the news at a Birmingham hotel with colleagues. Joan Clulo is in remission from cancer, but worked as a home carer for 25 years.
Couldn't believe what they did to us, because we were so dedicated to them. You know, and we loved all our clients. You know, I love my job. You know, it was like nice mums and dads. You know, and you looked after them, and you felt rewarded for doing it. You know, I loved it. Loved my job. Yeah, it hurt.
From 2005 onwards, 5,000 women, current workers or those who'd left within 6 months, made equal pay claims against the City Council. In 2010, 174 women who'd left within 6 years were told by the High Court they too could pursue claims. But in 2011, Birmingham City Council challenged that in the appeal court but lost. This year, the council appealed to the Supreme Court, but today that too was thrown out.
Often, women don't find out that they were underpaid. There's not a transparent pay culture in England. Lots of people are secretive about the pay, and so often it's years after their employment ended that women find out they were underpaid.
The case centres on women who did different jobs to men but were on the same pay grade. For example, on manual grade 2, a care home laundry worker would earn £11,000. A bin man on that grade would earn £30,000. Some of the carers we spoke to worked in elderly people's homes around Birmingham, like here in Berkeley Green. A City Council spokesman told us it was reviewing the Supreme Court judgment before considering its options. Claims by the 174 women could cost the council £2 million at a time it's faced with swingeing cuts. And today, lawyers were meeting some of the 1,000 more who could also potentially take action. Joanne Riddle, BBC Midlands Today, Birmingham.
Earlier I spoke to Kerry Goddard from the Fawcett Society, which campaigns for equality between the sexes. I began by asking for her reaction to today's ruling.
The Fawcett Society is delighted by the ruling today. First of all, for the women that it involves, caterers, cleaners, care assistants who've worked really hard, and it was a massive injustice that they weren't getting equal pay for work that was equal value to the men in the council. But also, more importantly, unequal pay is one of the biggest inequalities we still have in the UK today. The pay gap's a massive 15% between men and women nationally. So basically, for every pound a man earns, women are just getting 85p. We have the highest rate in the European Union. So I'm thinking that it's really important for those women, but it also, I think, will start a wider debate about whether or not we're doing enough to shut the pay gap at a national level.
But there's been legislation around for 40 years for equal pay. How did we get in this situation?
Yes, there has been legislation for 40 years on equal pay, but I think it's quite clear that no longer is fit for purpose by itself. The Fawcett Society and others have been calling for a long time for much more preventative measures, basically getting councils and companies to do what we call a pay audit, basically prevention, not cure. If this council and other employers had been checking in the first place that they had been paying men and women equally, we wouldn't have seen an extended legal case. So I think we need much more robust action from this government, including a really comprehensive employment strategy that recognises this age of austerity and really looks at what we're going to do to close this stubborn pay gap.
What do you make of Birmingham City Council's approach to this? Because they've taken it all the way through the courts, the High Court, the Appeal Court, and now the Supreme Court.
In the case of such an injustice as unequal pay, the council should have stood up to its responsibility years ago, put its hand up, accepted its mistake and paid these women and started to look to the future. And I think that's what we need to be doing as a country, actually, in a time of economic crisis. Government really needs to take proper action on this so we don't see any more of these cases and we don't see any more of our mothers and sisters and daughters doing these jobs, not getting enough money at the end of the week.
Kerry Goddard, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up later in the programme.